It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Oh, yes. It's today, the 24th of July. I was going to say July, goodness me. Of January. I know, yeah. It's early. Don't worry. It's early in the morning. Welcome to Road to World Cup 26. You're very welcome. It's great to have you on board wherever you are listening around the world. It's been another extraordinary sort of week, I guess, in world football. We've got lots to talk about in this episode. I'm joined, as always, I'm delighted to be joined, and his beard is getting longer. We start doing beard watch every week now. Mr. Ken Davies, how are you, Ken?
I'm good, actually. I am still, talking about world football, I am still reeling from the feast of total football that was Derby County against West Brom last night, which I know and I think you braved the weather to go and watch. Probably the worst game of football I've ever seen in my short life.
Well, I would argue against that because your life isn't short. But yeah, it was a pretty bad. It was a pretty dire game, wasn't it? To be fair, I sat and watched. After about 20 minutes, I've got to say, I felt a real degree of sympathy for some of the Derby players, because this is their third game in like less than 7 days, and they just look knackered. They just look really. 3 or 4 of our key players just look really tired, and like they were running through treacle. And the game, it was just a really poor, low quality.
That is the
war of attrition.
It was the worst championship. This is the championship, everyone, which is like supposed to be a really competitive league, one league below the Premier League. If any of these get anywhere near the Premier League, they will literally be annihilated. I would have rather run through treacle for an hour than watch that. It was absolutely grim.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I blame Sky TV for sticking the game on a Friday night, and I hope everybody who viewed that on Sky wrote into Sky and said, "Why on earth are you showing this?"
Oh my word!
And then maybe we can get back to Saturday games, please.
Yes,
because
please.
We played on Tuesday night. We had a really hard game away at Charlton following a really hard game away at Preston last week on a pitch that was more like a potato farm, and the legs were just tired.
Yeah, you could. They really struggled.
Yeah, we were gifted a goal by a shambolic piece of goalkeeping by the West Brom goalkeeper, who just dropped it at the feet of Patrick Adjiman. And he just said, "Well, thanks very much." Just a free kick, cross,
soft goal,
easy ball for the keeper. Just dropped it, and Adjiman just sort of poked it in from a couple of yards out. And then everybody thought we'd kind of done it until the 96th minute, until the referee had the whistle in his lips.
Yeah.
And as you saw, there's been quite a lot of controversy about this. It shouldn't have been a corner situation.
Well, we're going to come to that, maybe.
Yeah, this is it. Every TV angle shows. Of course, it shouldn't have been a corner, and West Brom scored from the corner with the last kick of the game. By the way,
another bit of soft goalkeeping. In my
opinion. Well, I don't know. I think not so much soft goalkeeping. I think soft defending. I don't think our defenders did well enough. But I have some sympathy with the referee, because watching it in real time, I think the Derby players were saying it was a foul on the goalkeeper in the run-up to the corner. But nobody was howling for a fact it wasn't a corner. And the referee's angle was pretty good, but he's still having to look through a penalty area with sort of 20-odd players in it.
Yeah.
And it looked sort of close. But I mean, when you suddenly look at another TV angle, you go, oh, my goodness, yeah, nobody touched that. But I don't think it was as easy as anything. We'll come to that in a bit.
But it is relevant to what we're going to
It's relevant to what we're going to talk about in a little bit in terms of rule changes. We've got a couple of really interesting topics of conversation today. We're going to have, obviously, IFAB. We talked about a little bit about this last week. The International Football Association Board.
Oh, you love that, don't you? You absolutely love these things. He brings out the ref and you think, oh, God, can't wait. No, I'm not going to bed until I find out what IFAB have decided.
I am a little bit like that. I'm not going to lie. I love the rules of football, and I love it when IFAB meet and they kind of make these changes and talk about what they're going to do and how the game can be improved, or not, as the case may be.
You need to start an IFAB podcast.
I think we probably should.
Yeah.
And they met this week and proposed various things that we're going to talk about in a moment, which are going to come into force should they get voted through at the AGM in February, in next month. Therefore, they will be in place for the World
And
Cup.
they almost certainly will get rubber stamped, we think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. What the way these things are, they have this business meeting in January, and they either agree motions or chuck out motions. They chucked out a couple of things that, this time around that we were discussing last week. But the things they take forward, there's not really any debate. They just get green lighted, don't they?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to be joined again by Jar Breaks, the renowned South African soccer journalist who, well, I spoke to him earlier in the week in the wash-up of what an extraordinary AFCON final last Sunday. I mean, I haven't seen. I'm still the reverberations of which are still rocking around world football. We're going to be. I caught up with him. Obviously, he was on last week's podcast.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the South Africa's chances, and we talked about AFCON, and everybody thought, yeah, fine, we've got the final tomorrow. Senegal, Morocco should be a good game. Nobody in the world was prepared for what happened in the final moments of that AFCON final.
No, there's going to be repercussions, aren't there? I think.
Yeah. So Braz, I had a chat with Braz earlier on in the week about it. So we've got him coming up, which is brilliant to give a very. And I'll tell you what, Ken, he's got some pretty forthright views, which I didn't expect.
Well, it seems to open a little bit of a crack, doesn't it? We thought there's more to this than meets the eye. Is a good way of saying.
Well, what it's made me realise this week. Looking at all the commentary and listening to people and watching stuff, is that we don't get, and I say we, I suppose the West, if that's a really weird phrase, but you know what I mean. We don't really get African football, and we don't see African football in any way in the same vein as Africans see African football.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it through a totally different lens. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that.
So I've got Brock coming up with some interesting views about what should happen to Pape Thiaw, the Senegal manager. And what else? Got Kenny's quiz. Oh, Kenny's quiz. Part 2 of the laws of the game, Kenny's quiz.
Oh, no.
So, Ken, you are the ref. Last week you were the ref, and you gave an absolutely horrendous performance. You'd have been booed out of Pride Park.
Yeah, and the referee really was... insert the next word last week, and he's probably going to be the same this week.
So we're going to do a bit of that, but let's kick off, shall we, with a bit of World Cup news. And new rankings are out. And as we know, Ken, go on, you say it. You love a bit of ranking.
You love a bit of ranking. Yeah, okay. So let's look at the rankings. Just a couple of minor things. The top 5 stays unchanged. So it's Spain at number 1, Argentina number 2, France number 3, England number 4, Brazil number 5. But there were some climbers. There was, and obviously, really down to the results of the AFCON competition. Morocco now are up to 8th. So Morocco in top 10, first time in quite a long time, and there with the bullet. I thought Morocco were pretty good throughout the competition. Not probably the better team in the final, I think. During the 90 minutes,
maybe.
But there wasn't much to call between.
Not over the 120 minutes, they weren't.
No, that's true. Senegal now up 7 places to 12th. They were 19th before the competition, now 12th. So Senegal obviously are moving up with a bullet. Though we shall wait to see what the repercussions are from what happened in the final. Of course, Cameroon are the other big winner. I think they went up 12 points, 12 places, I should say, but they haven't qualified for the World Cup, so that's not relevant to us. So yeah, Morocco and Senegal are big winners from a World Cup perspective in relation to the rankings.
Very good. Yeah, interesting. Stories knocking around this week. I mean, I don't really give these much credibility, but it's worth sort of flagging. Around, are some FAs going to boycott the World Cup because of the geopolitical situation in America?
Greenland thing.
Yeah, over Greenland. And
I think Denmark might.
Well, France seemed to be kind of the most vocal.
Not a chance that they're not going to the World Cup.
I mean, look. So the French sports minister was in the news this week, Marina Ferrari, saying that the country has no plan to boycott, but as it stands now, and there just seems. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's just interesting that it's just interesting. I just think it's interesting these conversations just kind of take place at quite a high level in politics around the countries, particularly in Europe. It's just interesting.
If anyone was going to boycott, I could see Denmark doing that. Denmark are in the qualifiers, if you like, for the UEFA competition to qualify. They could well qualify. In fact, we've got them predicted to qualify. I think they could do that, but I just think Denmark generally are just too sensible to do something like that.
Yes, no, very much so. So yeah, I don't see it, but stories knocking around, which
It's
always
not.
just interesting.
I mean, that pot is getting warmer, isn't it? In the sense of
Yeah.
it's bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. Who knows where we are going to be in the 2 weeks' time?
Well, this is it, or indeed 2 hours time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a kind of almost
Exactly.
day by day story at the moment,
Yeah,
isn't
when
it?
Donald Trump
Everything.
is giving a speech from the capital of Greenland, wherever that is, I should know that, but I don't. And he's saying, right, we now, I think, hasn't Donald Trump offered $100,000 to every Greenlander to, if you like, come over to his side?
Yes.
I wish they'd do. I wish he'd offer that to every member of Kirk Langley. I'd be running the flag up the pole tomorrow.
Who knows? Who knows?
It's unlikely.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I should say this actually.
go. Go on, sir.
Last week we read out a great little email from Yannick, our new best friend.
Oh, he's great, Yannick.
And you raised during the podcast whether or not he had a beard.
Yes,
because you were kind of musing.
I'm almost
whether or
certain
not
he's got a beard.
So he sent us a great picture. He looks, if that's his real face, to be fair, he's a good looking lad. But the bottom bit of his face has a sort of beard and moustache, and then the top bit of his face is kind of drawn on like a bit of a cartoon. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to ask Yannick to see if I can put this on our YouTube feed, 'cause it's very funny. And he says, "Look, hi Nick and Ken, as requested last week, attached is a picture of my face. The upper half is painted. If you could not tell, it's just like a cartoon upper half. Whether you count this as a beard is up to you."
Would you count it as a beard, Nick?
I do count as a beard, because to be honest with you, mate, it's better than your effort, and you've been growing it for weeks. I think it looks like a very well groomed.
Yeah, that's the difference. When you say I've been growing it for a few weeks, Yannick's had it for 5 years.
Well, yeah, but he looks after it. I'll tell you what, I'd like to see the top of his face that he hasn't just drawn. He looks a good looking lad. I need to
speak to Yannick about beard care.
I think you do, mate. I think you do.
I'm having it trimmed today. Mine's just grown. We've done nothing.
Yeah.
We've done nothing in terms of grooming. We've done nothing in terms of anything. I just said grow. And I've had a month of grow, and now I need to do something with it.
It does, because it looks a bit fluffy in areas. It looks a bit unkempt. I'm not going to lie.
It is completely.
Yeah. So yes, you should get in touch with Yannick, because he looks very well groomed. Also, worryingly though, he says, I agree with Ken on the VAR offside topic.
Thank you.
So I don't really like this. Although I don't think the Wenger rule would make it 10 times worse than it is today. It would not make anything better, because the issue that someone could be offside by a millimetre is not eliminated, which in my opinion is not really discussion worthy. Offside is offside.
Good lad.
Yeah.
The Swiss have always been noted, haven't they, for their common sense and pragmatic approach to everything.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, very much so. So he essentially says the Wenger rule is going to just make it a little bit more messy than it already is, and we can do without that. But you agree with Yannick, and Yannick agrees with you, and IFAB agrees with both of you, because this week when they met, they chucked out the idea of. Oh, thanks, by the way. Thanks, Yannick, for getting back in touch.
Thanks,
we're going to have to get you on at this, right?
Yes.
The IFAB chucked out the idea of a Wenger rule to keep, and they're going to keep offside exactly as is now. You're very happy about that.
A victory for common sense.
Yeah. And when they met this week, so they had their annual business meeting. We touched on this last week, and they agreed to put forward proposals which are going to be rubber stamped in February to increase, should I say, the involvement of video assistant referee, VAR or VAR, whatever you like to call it.
Which is great. I'm pleased with it within the confines that we established last week.
Yeah. So in the World Cup, we're going to see changes in the World Cup, people. And for a start, referees VAR now will be able to get involved if a referee has already booked another player and gives them a second yellow card. Okay, VAR will now be able to get involved if they believe it is wrongly awarded. That's the first thing. Second thing,
don't like that.
Okay.
Don't like that, because it then is a judgment call. I agree with it only if it's a case of mistaken identity. Anything else means that the referee is getting his judgment called by someone else. I don't like that.
Yeah, well, mistaken identity is also in there as well. VAR can also get involved if a corner is wrongly awarded.
Agree with that, because
So I think there's two things to that,
that's a
isn't it? I think,
factual binary thing.
yeah, and I think that's it. And we talked about the Derby game last night. If VAR had been involved in that, Derby would have won 1-0.
Yeah. Yeah,
because that corner,
so
which wasn't a corner,
it's got its downsides, because no one likes to see Derby win. But no, I think
Mate, you go and watch them. What are you on about?
but I secretly want them to lose, which is a bit weird because I've got a season ticket. But
that's so weird.
But yes, but yeah, I agree with that on corners. I should, same for throw-ins should be, in my opinion. By the way.
Well, that may come down the road. But talking of throw-ins, and this is the best thing. I'm really pleased about this because I've got a real, as you know, Ken, a bee in my bonnet about this.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with time wasting these days in modern day soccer is throw-ins. Teams take an age to take throw-ins, and
Derby County did last night.
Well, particularly in
hanging on for a 1-0 from about 32 minutes.
Yeah, Callum Elder got booked, didn't he, for taking so long to take throw-in? And
yeah, honestly, I could have gone on holiday and come back, and he still wouldn't have taken it.
Well, I wish he had, to be honest with you. And now the long ball has come back into fashion. Sorry, the long throw has come back into fashion, as it has, as an attacking force. That means that when there's a throw in an attacking area, not only have you got to find the right person to throw the ball, who could be anywhere on the pitch, it could be at the other end of the pitch, so he's got to kind of trot over very slowly, but also the attacking team, because it's now an attacking goal-scoring set piece, has to set up right, because they've been working on this all week, similar to the way they've been working on corners. It just takes forever.
Yeah,
and I'm all in favour for the long, a long throw being tossed into the area, causing chaos. I think it's great. I'm pleased to see it back in fashion. But IFAB all of their kind of thinking at the moment is around limiting stoppages, improving the flow of the game. Now, at the start of the season, we saw the introduction of the rules whereby 8-second rule whereby it was 10 seconds. 8 seconds or 10 seconds?
No,
8 seconds for the goalkeeper. Yeah,
I thought it was 6, but you might be wrong.
No, the goalkeeper, it's either 8 or 10. The goalkeeper has the ball in his hands, and he's only allowed to keep it. I think it's 8 seconds. And then when the referee gets to 5, he sticks his hand in the air, wiggling his fingers, and counts down with his fingers 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so that the goalkeeper can see what's going on. And if the goalkeeper hangs on to the ball beyond that countdown, when it gets to 0, a corner is awarded.
Yeah, never seen it happen in real life, but
it also happened to Derby. It happened to Derby last week.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Good.
So
it does happen in real life. It's actually a rule that's worked reasonably well. Actually, I think it has improved the tempo. Yeah,
we got corner given against us because the goalkeeper hang on to it too long. So that's good. But they're going to bring that in for goal kicks now, obviously when the ball's been kicked from the ground, as opposed to being in the goalkeeper's hands, and throw-ins.
I think the throw-in one is great. By the way, just throwing something in on throw-ins, I think they should ban foul throws. In the sense of, what a stupid rule. What a stupid rule. Now, assuming you're throwing the ball in with 2 hands, that should be fine. I mean, does it matter where the ball is in position of your head to constitute a foul throw? I saw it the other day. Someone was a foul throw was awarded against them because they released the ball a little bit too far forward in terms of where the ball was thrown. Foul throws are stupid, aren't they?
The other thing, well, I'm not actually going to argue too much about this because nobody really knows what a foul throw is. If you look at the laws of the game, quite often, the biggest controversy bit is where a player gets the ball and just mistimes it and kind of throws it straight down near his feet. So it kind of bounces up about half a yard. That's not actually a foul throw. Oh. Because his feet are, as long as his feet are in the right position, both feet are on the ground, on or behind the line, and he's throwing in the direction that he's facing, and obviously he's got the ball in his hands in the starting positions behind his head. That's not a foul throw. But everybody goes, foul throw, ref, foul throw. And then sometimes referees give it.
They do. I've seen it.
And they just go, well, it isn't a foul throw. And I think the rules around foul throws have now just become completely like offside or handball. Nobody kind of knows what foul throw is.
Start a campaign to ban the foul throw. If you've got 2 hands on the ball and your feet are behind the line, it can't be a foul throw.
So would you be happy with a kind of netball throw in? i.e. starting position from your chest and throw it in like they do in netball, as long as two hands are on the ball.
Yeah. What's the worst can happen?
What about feet on the ground?
Yeah, I need to have feet on the ground.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is you've got to have your feet on the ground, same as you are now, on or behind the line, same as it was now.
Yeah.
But actually, as long as you've got
two
two hands on the ball,
two hands on the ball, you
can sling it in from your hip,
I don't
or
care.
push it in from your chest, or chuck it in. Like
What's the big deal about putting it behind your head?
Yeah, no, it's a very ancient kind of rule. One of those ancient rules.
It is. It's like ancient Egyptian rule, isn't it? Just been there forever.
What's the ancient Egyptian rule?
Well, it was, when they were playing between the pyramids, someone, Ramesses the Ninth came up and said, I really think we should have some kind of rule about throwing it in. We've got to make sure now we have two hands and it goes behind your head and all that stuff. It's just lost in the midst of time. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Were the pyramids the goalposts?
Sorry?
What do you think? Were the pyramids the goalposts? When you say they're playing between the pyramids, were the pyramids the goalposts? And you kind of had to score between...
Yeah. Yeah, obviously quite high-scoring games in those days.
Well, not really, because the pyramids were like 70 miles apart. So it takes 4 days. Sort of, if you take a short goal kick and play through the midfield, it would take 4 days to get to the other goal. Really.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, right. So IFAB, they're the rules that are coming into place. As long as they're rubber stamped in February at the AGM, which is what we are expecting, they will come into place in time for the World Cup.
One other thing to note on that, there seems to be some, again, on the tempo thing, and correct me if I've got this wrong, there seems to be doing something about substitutions, about, I think this is going to be...
10-second rule. That's
rule.
You know what? That's what was confusing me, because I wrote down 10 seconds, but I wrote it down next to goal kicks and throw-ins. Yeah, so it is 8 seconds for goalkeeper in hands, and that's what we're going to do for goal kicks and throw-ins. 10 seconds is for players being subbed. So if you get your numbers up, mate.
I love the substitution rule. I mean, that really is going to have a massive effect, because that thing where someone knows he's going to go get subbed and goes and runs off 100 yards and stands in the corner flag and then walks off as if he's been shot in the thigh, drags himself off. That's going to be, and that should go tomorrow. I think that'd be a fantastic new introduction.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that will save a lot. You can waste half a minute easily.
Well,
yeah, in just by walking off the pitch in a slow manner. Now, obviously, if you're nearer the other side or nearer the goal, you're meant to go off at that side or behind the goal. But the players don't, do they? Generally, they just got to make a show of it.
You're Derby County, you're 1-0 up, and there's 32 minutes gone. You're gonna be like a snail. You're probably going to get on your belly and snail your way off.
Well, to be fair, they were doing that during the game. So. Bless them. I love them. I imagine their legs are feeling very sore this morning. They gave it plenty of effort. They were just tired. Right. Again, do an advert. Then we're going to get on to AFCON. Then we've got Kenny's quiz, and then that's
okay. So, by the way, if like Nick, by the way, you're looking at your body in January and you're thinking, I could do something about this. I need to do something about this until it's too late, or before it's too late. I need to grow a beard. I just need to shape up, all those kind of things. Well, the Road to World Cup podcast has partnered with Bionique, because they're the world's most personalised supplements. Because your body, Nick, is unique. Yannick's body's unique, isn't it? He's got that weird top of his face, and he's got that really lovely, rather lovely bottom of his face. Because without knowing exactly what your body needs, taking off-the-shelf supplements mean you're probably not getting enough of the nutrients you need and too many of the ones you don't need. So Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements. Imagine that, by the way, specifically designed for your body, not just any body, crafted to deliver precisely what your individual body is craving exactly at the right times and exactly at the right level. So click on the show notes for more details. If you use the code Road to World Cup 26, uppercase everyone, you'll get 40% off your first order, and your body will be very pleased that you did.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
to Road to World Cup 26 podcast. Do get in touch with us, by the way. Do get in touch. You can get in touch with us on email. That's normally the best way. Road to World Cup 26 at gmail.com. Road to World Cup 26 at gmail.com. Or you can find us on YouTube, obviously. Leave comments there. Plenty of people do. And
Twitter.
Twitter.
X, whatever they call it these days.
Yeah. Ken's in charge of our X.
Yeah. Yeah, join us. Join us.
It's the reason nothing's on it for ages.
Yeah, until about 12 o'clock today, which is I'm going to absolutely spam the world with this episode.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Right. Let's just wash up from AFCON. In a moment, we're going to hear from Bra Jakes, who I caught up with earlier on in the week, South African journalist. He's in Pretoria, and he had a lot to say. And he had a lot of interesting stuff to say, by the way. So that's going to be a fascinating chat. Ken,
he's more interesting than us, isn't he? Let's be honest.
He's just very well. He's a renowned soccer journalist, so he should know his stuff, and he certainly does. Right.
I think you'll find that we're renowned soccer journalists now.
Well, I already was.
Okay.
I'm still kind of waiting for you to join that particular party, mate.
Yeah.
What did you make of it then? Watching this game, and to be fair, it wasn't a great game. A bit like both semi-finals, it was a bit. It's another 0-0. It's another 0-0. It's another 0-0. And then you get to that 3 or 4 minutes into injury time. There's like eight minutes added on time. I can't call it injury time. Added on time, extra time, whatever you want to call it. And Senegal score. Ismaila Sarr scores. And the goal's disallowed for an incredibly soft push.
Yeah.
I mean, there are arms, but, just nothing. So everybody's kind of going nuts. Senegal's going nuts and this, that, and the other. And fast forward to the very last kick of the game. And Brahim Diaz goes down under a challenge from Diouf. And everybody kind of almost stops to wait and see what's happened. Play goes on, but the VAR stops the game and tells the referee to go and look at the screen. Now, I've got a little bit of sympathy, and I shouldn't have, but I've got a little bit of sympathy with the referee at this moment in time, because Diouf has given him a decision to make, because he's got his arm around Diaz's neck. I mean, Diaz has gone down, like he's been shot, obviously. But it's not like Diouf hasn't touched him. But it's soft. But you also know that as soon as the referee goes over the screen, you know what's going to happen.
That's the issue. VAR it's not the ref's issue, it's the VAR people's issue. Yeah.
And it kicked off before the referee had even awarded a penalty, because everybody knew what was going to happen. So you've got the screen and this is something that maybe the officials need to have a look at here, because the screen is obviously next to the benches. So the referee isn't getting an uninterrupted view of it, because he's got hundreds of people around him, and it's all kind of starting to boil off, and they're all arguing and this, that, and the other. And then, inevitably he awards the penalty, which, at that moment, everything just goes crackers. Both benches are up, all the support acts, the physios and the substitutes and all the add-on staff, they're all kind of arguing each other, finger pointing in each other's faces. The players are in each other's faces. There are punches, by the way, being thrown in the press box at this stage between journalists. There's fighting with supporters. And then, and this is the kind of crux of the matter here, Pape Thiaw, the Senegal manager, orders his players off the pitch. So all of the Senegal players walk off in protest, apart from Sadio Mane.
Who deserves a medal, by the way.
He does deserve a medal. And this goes on and on and on, and there's just complete carnage. And the referee, whose job it is to control a match, is just standing there going, I've just got no idea what to do. Well, you can just see it. You go, no, what do I do? I've got no idea.
What would you do then as a ref? If you've got a choice, if you're ref in that game and they all said, right, see, I'm off.
Well, you could take the view that, okay, fine, I'll abandon the game and it'll get awarded to Morocco.
Would it get awarded to Morocco?
Or, well, yeah, because the other teams walked off. So the team that didn't walk off gets the game. But this is sort of the African Cup of Nations final. It's a game being watched around the globe. It's a very, very high profile. So I think the referee did the right thing in just allowing as much time as possible for things to settle down and to try and get the Senegal players out. So I think the referee did the right thing. He could have acted very quickly and done the wrong thing. So I think he's done the right thing. And Sadio Mane essentially has convinced his team to come out. So they come out, hurrah. The penalty's still to be taken. It's going to be the last kick of the game. And Brahim Diaz steps up, and as he's waiting to take it, he's got the goalie Mendy in his ear. He's got Sadio Mane in his ear. Every time he looks like he's going to run up and take it, the goalkeeper wanders out. He's just putting him off and putting him off and putting him off and putting him off. And then in the end, he just psychologically absolutely broken. And when he takes his penalty kick, he just chips it very gently and very sweetly into the goalkeeper's arms. And Mendy actually had time to go down, get up, and still catch it.
Yeah. It's a really interesting one. And actually, when you look at it as a complete outsider, and actually, I think my voice, my opinion rather on this has changed somewhat. When you look at it as a complete outsider, it's an outrage. And everyone is outraged with Pape Thiaw. Everyone is outraged with Senegal. How could they do what they did? When I saw it in real time, without really knowing the context, I think context in this is really, really, really important. I think we're going to hear more about the context in your interview, but it's. I think there's a number of things that come from this. Firstly, there is in Africa, clearly an idea, a simmering idea, that certain teams get favoured over other teams. I think there is, and I think Pape Thiaw, just felt that absolute injustice of what he'd just seen, and he just lost his head. Now, it isn't the coach's job to lose his head in any circumstances. Players do that more than enough times. You can't do that as a coach. You've got to rise. You've got to rise above the disappointment. You've got to rise above your sense of injustice. Because let's be honest, in every football game, there's going to be injustice. There's going to be fouls given that shouldn't be. There's going to be fouls ignored that should have been given. There's going to be corners going out that isn't. I mean, it's football. It's full of injustice from minute 1 to minute 100. So you've got to deal with that, even if it's the World Cup final or even if it's the AFCON final. So, but I think there are going to be repercussions. So the couple of things, just a note on that. Firstly, I think FIFA need to introduce a rule that if a team walks off the pitch and refuses to play for even 1 minute, the game is over and is awarded to the other team, whatever the score. We can't have that. We just can't have that in any competition. In fact, that should be a rule applied throughout football at any level. If a team decides not to participate as some kind of protest, game's over, the other team wins. That'll stop it instantly, and I think you should do that. I think Pape Thiaw is obviously going to get a sanction for what happened. I suspect, he's not going to. Certainly, he's not going to be on the touchline. I think for certainly the group stages of the World Cup, I would imagine. I think Infantino refused to give the trophy. I heard this, I know it was true. Refused to give the trophy to Senegal after the game. I saw a picture of him give the golden boot to Brahim Diaz. He looked, bless him, he looked like he'd just rather be anywhere else in the world. I mean, if ever a picture tells 1,000 words, and I covered this with Brian Moe, he just looked absolutely shattered. Yeah. The other thing that I thought when I watched that game in real time is the penalty. I want to talk about the penalty because not only did when they come out and prepared to take the penalty, which of course was immediately after this big interruption, did he? Obviously, Diaz had people in his ear. Diaz, giving him what they thought about it. But of course, he's also had about 20 minutes to ruminate on this. 16 minutes, yes. 16 minutes between the penalty being given and the penalty being taken. To win, not to win the game. It's to win the cup, not to win the game, to win the African Cup of Nations. Yeah. Now, I think, by the way, and it's not why the Senegal coach took him off, but actually that's a massive advantage to the defending team. Because if you've had to sit there for 16 minutes and then probably another 4 minutes before you actually get to take the kick, and just ruminate on what you should do, you are going to be massively overthinking what you're going to be doing. And I think it would have been almost impossible to score that penalty after that interruption. And I think, you know, that is one of the reasons why that kind of stuff has got to be stopped. In fact, just on that penalty situation, in fact, any kind of interaction between the keeper and anyone and the penalty taker should be banned absolutely outright, because it's not fair. So should, goalkeepers have got to be ready to take the penalty within 10 seconds or something crazy like that after a referee blows a whistle. But the final thing on the penalty is everyone is like saying, what a fool for just doing the little Panenka and straight into his arms. They would have been saying that if the keeper had dived to the left, it had rolled in. They would have said, what a genius. You cannot judge the decision on what to take based on the outcome. You only must judge the decision on whether it was a good idea before the outcome was known. And I don't see anything wrong with him trying to Panenka. I thought that was quite a clever thing to do. No one knew that it was going to be saved. If that had rolled in, everyone would have been carrying shoulder high. So I have no issue with him trying the Panenka. I think it was quite a clever thing to do. But I think the real issue here is the bloke had to wait for 20 minutes before he get a chance to do it, which I think was a disgrace.
I read a brilliant piece in the New York Times this week, a brilliant piece from a sort of psychologist, goalkeeping psychologist.
Yeah.
And I mean, it broadly echoed what you said in terms of the shortcut of all of this is that by the time he had to take the penalty, there was no hope of him scoring.
No.
He just had no chance of him scoring because by then so much had happened.
Yeah.
So much had happened.
Yeah.
That mentally, as you say, overthinking it, changing his mind.
Yeah.
All of the things that go through your brain.
Yeah. He would have gone through a thousand options.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. So that's Brahim Diaz. Linked incidentally in the last couple of days, linked very heavily with a move to the Premier League, either Sunderland or Aston Villa.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I hope Wrexham get him.
Anyway,
what do you think the sanction should be on Pape Thiaw?
I think he's either got to be given an immediate ban, which will rule him out of the World Cup.
Can't see that.
And I'm going to hand over now to Bra Jakes, because he's kind of got an idea on what should happen. This is his opinion, and I kind of going along with it, I think. So earlier in the week, I caught up with Bra as all of this was unfolding, as the chaos continued to sort of reverberate around the world. I spoke to him in South Africa. I should say that he's on the move. He was on the move in South Africa. He very kindly sort of stopped to talk to us. So there's a little bit of gap here or there, just because there's a bit of a delay on the line. Here or there, and where the Wi-Fi was just a little bit scratchy. It doesn't in any way interfere with the interview, but there was just a little bit of a delay sometimes on the line. But here's what Bri had to say. Jakes, when I said the other day when we spoke, come back on, and I look forward to speaking to you nearer the time. I didn't quite expect it to be as near as this, because within hours of us having a chat the other day, of course, it was the most remarkable AFCON final in history. What has been the wash up of all of this? What was your view of it? You must have seen it and just sat like the rest of us, I guess, open mouthed.
Yeah, I mean, yes. It took me back to when we were young. When we were young and we were playing and we thought this is not going well. We just walked off the pitch. It was like you're watching a street football, really. When we grew up. But listen, I don't want to say it was justified, because they'll tell you it's professionalism, you do something, but there had been a build up to this whole thing. Throughout the tournament, you felt it was as though everybody wanted Morocco to win this thing. The decisions, there were some decisions that you thought VAR almost always looked to be going their way. Personally, I felt that just before, when that goal that was disallowed, of course, the referee blew his whistle before the ball was in the net. But I felt that was not an infringement in any way. As it is, I thought Hakimi was the one who initially made the push on the Senegalese player. Yet the referee saw it the other way. And I think it was just a build up. The Senegalese were frustrated building up. Prior to the match, there had been complaints about they are not being allowed to get tickets. Their training ground is far away from where it is. So when that whole thing happened, yes, the penalty was a penalty. I totally agree. But I think the frustrations boiled over, and Coach Pape Thiaw then felt, we have rules and everything says it's not right. But sometimes when you are frustrated, what do? You do what you think is right, whether they are going to ban you, whether they are going to fine you. Sometimes just take a stance.
Yeah, and it was incredible. I mean, look, it doesn't look great. I get that the optics aren't great, but I guess just in the moment, just the emotion of Pape Thiaw for what he saw as well, he would have seen it as cheating. I guess he would have seen this. He almost would have felt when the Senegal goal got disallowed that, oh, you know what, the referee's going to give them something in a minute. And sure enough, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
I may be alone in all this. I actually thought that the foul on Brahim Diaz was actually a foul. He's grabbed him around the neck, and if it was soft, it was soft, but he's still given the referee a decision to make. And therefore, I think as a coach, there has to be an element here of just accepting it. But obviously he didn't. And to take your players off, not just in any game of football, but in the final when the whole world is watching, the final of AFCON, when the whole world is watching, it's just a really bad look, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. We say football is it's you accept what happens, yes. And it doesn't look good. But my thinking sometimes is, when are we going to make certain stands against certain things? If this is the best stage to do it at, yes, it doesn't do something. For years, many years, in African football, the North African teams have always gotten away with murder. They dive every. The reason North Africa has dominated African football, yes, they're good, but they cheat. They I've watched matches where a little touch on a North African player, they jump around like they're acting, and the referees always go for them. So I'm very happy actually that Sal stood up and said enough is enough. Africa gets favored, and it's been happening. I actually was very happy that VAR is coming in and we'll start seeing different changes, but there hasn't been. When we South Africa played against Egypt, there was an incident where an Egyptian player did a handball in the box. They did not give that penalty for South Africa. It was a penalty. It should have been given. So yes, people will say, oh, it's not a good advert for African football, whatever. But who says? My view is sometimes you need to take a stand. And what better way to do it than on the biggest stage of them all, where everybody's watching? Yes, CAF will probably suspend Pape Thiaw. I heard Infantino saying, no, this is not right. But the reality of football over the years has been that referees make mistakes. Referees sometimes give decisions and nothing gets done. Countries lose so much. Big events, you work so hard for years, and one guy comes and makes a silly mistake and nothing happens. So yes, the referee's decision is final, but sometimes you stand for what you stand for. I know people will say it's not right, but I think Senegal stood for what they believe. Pape Thiaw felt it was wrong. Credit to Sadio Mane for doing what he did, because the reality of it was you would not want that kind of a match to end with these guys have walked out and the referee gives the match to the others. So I think I salute Sadio Mane for doing what he did. He's a role model for African football, and that just elevated him to superstar status for doing that. And look at how it turned out. His country ends up being African champions.
Yes, and I think the whole world will look at Sadio Mane in the same light. I think he did a remarkable thing. I don't think I realised, and maybe a lot of people didn't realise, that there was such rivalry, if that's the word. I don't even know if that's strong enough a word, between North African teams and countries and South African countries and West African countries. Everybody seems to hate the North African countries.
Yeah, no, it's not even hate, but so here's the thing, hey. the CAF head offices have always been in Egypt, North Africa. Even when Issa Hayatou was the president, almost every 50-50 decision will go the North African way. I promise you, watch it. I've watched Champions League football. Our own coach, Peter Musiman, who coached Al Ahly, who previously was with Sundowns, learned from them. He says, if you play North African teams and you play clean, you are not going to win. So he adopted that. He would tell the ball boys what we saw in the final when the ball boys were taking the goalkeeper's towel. It's the tricks that they do. Peter Musimani taught at Mamelodi Sundowns. They used to have ball boys who would keep the ball. Just little tricks that North Africans have done. And he has said, beat them in their own game. So a lot of people, you watch the statistics, they've dominated. I mean, Egypt have won the most African titles. Al Ahly are the most, look, they are good. I'm not taking that away from them. But there's little to Egypt, for example, and you're playing an Egyptian team. You go to a training session, you find the training grounds locked just to frustrate you. It's all those little things that get done that has created this whole, we don't like North Africa. And that's just what it is. I mean, I've been listening to radio stations all over here at home. Just about everybody in Africa, except for the North Africans, of course, is supporting Senegal for what they did. Everybody saying it's about time we showed these North African guys that no, you can't just continue to dominate the way you've been doing.
So what happens now? What happens to Pape Thiaw? Because the subplot to all of this is, of course, the World Cup is around the corner. The CAF have opened an investigation into it. What do you expect to see happen next?
Look, I think for the sake of the professionalism of the game, for the sake of making sure that this does not happen again, they probably will suspend him. Look, I suppose the sad thing is the next big event that's coming up is the World Cup. So chances are the best thing would be suspend him from being part of the World Cup. I hear those are the calls that are being made. And I think Senegal are likely to take that on their chin and say, listen, coach, this is what has happened. We are going to the World Cup. You stay home. Said that that's happened. But what he did, as we all know, is unprofessional. It should not have happened. I think another thing was, the referee did nothing about that. That's another thing, because you'd think as the man in charge, he probably should have given him a red card for doing that, because then there's something for CAF, and if FIFA get involved, I don't think FIFA should get involved in this. Leave it to CAF to deal with it, because if you come in, you are saying, you guys don't know what you're doing. Let CAF handle this. CAF can decide. It was a CAF competition. We've seen in events, the reality of football is if you get suspended, if you get a red card in a CAF match, it doesn't impact on the World Cup. So I would say suspend him from the next AFCON or any other thing, but not the World Cup, because it's a CAF thing. CAF should deal with it and say, Mr. Thiaw, you acted this way in our tournament. For the next one, you are suspended either for 4 games or we ban you from the next Africa Cup of Nations, but not the World Cup. But I'm hearing calls for that, and perhaps that's something that will say to anybody else, you dare not do what Pape Thiaw did, because this is the punishment. But I wouldn't say World Cup. I would say suspend him from the next AFCON.
And lastly, then, there's been a lot of talk about the referees. Now, the head of the referees was fired last year, and there is a suggestion that the referees have been almost left to go rogue, and there was no kind of overwatch or oversight of their performances during AFCON. And when you look at the performance of the referee in the final, particularly how he managed, well, he disallowed the goal. He's then given Morocco a penalty, with the last kick of the game, which obviously Brahim Diaz inexplicably did what he did. Well, I say inexplicably, to be fair. The pressure on him must have been unbelievable. And Senegal did all the right things in terms of the dark arts in delaying and delaying and delaying. And Mendy was out and his goal, and Mane was in his ear, and all these things. And I think in the end, he just didn't know what to do and just sort of chipped it into the keeper's arms. But there seems to be a lot of there's a split down the middle of are the referees corrupt or are they just not very good? What's your view on the refereeing situation?
Look, I think we have it even here at home. I think what has happened is the game has become so professional, so advanced, and we've left the referees behind. A lot of them are still part-timers. A lot of referees do this, they do their own job and then they come and do this. So there's a lot that's left behind there. And I think if we are going to have it proper, we need to just professionalize referees. But also, I think in terms of you use the way they've gone rogue. I think the challenge there is there's no consequence for referees. A referee has a bad game and he gets the next match. I think if just football associations, we have it here in South Africa where referees give, I mean, just this week, Kaizer Chiefs played Golden Arrows and what we felt was a clear offside was given for a goal. And the coach of the losing team was saying, we are playing for 20 million rands here, but people come here and behave like we are playing for 200 rands. And that's the challenge, that coaches lose their jobs, clubs lose so much, national teams spend so much money, yet the same is not being done for the people who are so highly influential in the game. So my thinking is professionalize these guys, pay them enough for them to work full time if possible, and make sure that there are reviews. I know that in the English Premiership, they have this refereeing reviews. I mean, when somebody has done bad, I think they get suspended or taken off their role for some time. And I think we need to introduce that even in continental football, because then people will know. I mean, funnily, before the match, I didn't get to check if that was right. But somebody was sharing a statement that Morocco are definitely going to win this match because this referee, whenever he's been in charge of Morocco's matches, 8 matches, they've won all of them. And people start insinuating all those kind of things. I wouldn't want to go to the extent of saying they are cheating. We used to hear stories of brown envelopes going under the doors of referees' hotel rooms the night before matches. But I don't know if that's still happening. I would hope not. I think these guys should be professional enough. But I think the powers that be that run football, particularly CAF, Patrice Motsepe, the president, has come in and done a lot of good things, brought in a lot of money. But these are the little things that he needs to focus on. Fix the refereeing. Make sure that we hire only professional people who are going to do the best. And if the review system is very important. Check if somebody makes a mistake, you suspend, and then they'll know that we expect only the highest standards of you, or else you're not going to be in a match.
And finally, then, bro, there was a lot of talk before the competition about the Moroccan manager, Walid Regragui, and the fact that essentially Morocco had to win the tournament if he was to keep his job for the World Cup. Is there any talk around his position, or have what they've done in the competition essentially, because they were the top scorers and they played well, they were considered to be Senegal. I mean, they were considered
fair play. He won coach
2 teams in it. Yeah, Brahim Diaz obviously won the Golden Boot, and if you saw, goodness me, if you saw the picture of him receiving the Golden Boot from Gianni Infantino, if a picture could tell 1,000 words, goodness me, what a broken man he looked. What's the situation with the Moroccan coach? Are we expecting to see him?
It's funny, hey, just yesterday I saw a little post. Social media, sometimes you can never be sure if these things are true or not. But there was a post, they were saying, I think Andres Iniesta, there was talk of Iniesta going to Morocco. And I remember asking, are they getting him as a coach, or is he going to be a technical? I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't get rid of him. He's taken you to the final. A final you could easily have won had Diaz converted the penalty. So, you can't really say a guy's failed, but you know how football works. He's been there for a long time. If he goes with them, it's his second World Cup. It's very rare in football where a coach goes to 2 World Cups with one country. They change. But if I were in charge of Morocco, I would keep him. The talk of Iniesta, I'll check for you to try and make sure. But once you hear that, you start thinking he might. And look, he's achieved so much with them. Having qualified them, he'd want to go. And I'm thinking, you go to that World Cup and curtains, you call it quits after that. I mean, what else are you going to achieve with the nation after that?
So fascinating stuff, Ken.
Wow.
And he's clearly saying that Senegal were within their rights. That it's about time somebody stood up to CAF. The North African teams have been getting away with it for far too long, and actually, the whole of Africa was really pleased to see Pape Thiaw do what he did, which is a very different viewpoint, I think, to the rest of the world.
Well, exactly the point I'm making earlier. When you look at it from an outsider, you don't know the context, you don't know the simmering injustice that seems to be absolutely all pervasive in Africa. You take one view, but actually then if you know that context, there's a little bit more sympathy with what was going on. If there's any truth in the fact that actually North African teams get a better rub of the green than teams from sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So he's obviously saying that Thiaw should be allowed to go to the World Cup, but on the basis this is an African Cup of Nations and a CAF issue, the CAF should deal with it. FIFA should stay out, and if there's a ban coming, it should be for the next AFCON. That's kind of where he's at, and I've got to say that feels eminently sensible.
It does feel sensible. It won't happen. Infantino has been
until Senegal walk off the pitch at the World Cup.
Yeah, in the World Cup final. Senegal could find themselves in the World Cup final. By the way, they're drawn against France, Norway, and one other team that we don't know yet. But they've got a chance. I'd fancy Senegal against France, to be honest.
Yeah, what a game that'll be, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, what a game that'll be. And we've all been going on about Norway a bit because Norway have got Haaland. That seems to be in the last few weeks slightly less of a slightly less of a bonus, doesn't it? Because he's just
I've got him.
He looks like he's done this season. He looks absolutely exhausted.
I've captained him this today in my fantasy league, which, by the way, I'm about 28 points behind you. We need to reflect on this every week. Where we are in the fantasy league.
I've kept him as captain for quite a long time. And every week where I go, nah, I can't. He's been rubbish again this week. He's not getting any points. You just think
you can't bring yourself to do it.
You can't bring yourself to do it.
You can't
because you know the one week you do it, he's going to score like
9. Yeah,
and everybody around you who's also captaining him just gets ahead of you, and you're suddenly bottom of the league.
Yeah, that's not a bad strategy in fantasy football.
No.
Do what everyone else is doing if you're at the top.
Yeah. Okay. Right, we're going to end the podcast with Kenny's quiz. Everybody's favourite time of the week. I hope you've got your pipe ready, mate. For week 2, you are the ref, and we've got to decide whether this is a regular feature or whether a broader quiz comes back into play. We'll have to decide on that.
There's not enough questions on you are the ref, are there?
Oh, God, loads, yeah.
Maybe we should then. Yeah, I like you.
I could do a whole season on this. Don't worry about that. Right, I'm going to give you. I've got 20 questions.
What?
Yeah, I've got 20 questions, and I want you to pick a number, and I will give you that question.
Okay.
20 questions in front of me.
4.
Okay, number 4. See, some of these are easy, some of these are hard. This is quite easy. Number 4. Offside is judged. These are multiple choice, by the way. Judged when a player is A, receives the ball in their own half, B, is level with the second last defender. Now, I'm not even going to do this. I thought these were quite hard questions.
That was going to be an easy one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
going to be. Okay.
Yeah, that was going to be.
That's elementary offside question.
Yeah. No, the ones I've got in front of me here.
6.
6.
Just give me the hard ones.
I can't even. I'm looking down. Right, true or false?
Okay.
A player can be offside from a throw-in.
True.
False.
Oh, God.
Can't be offside from a throw-in.
Can't be silly.
I thought that was a bit easy.
That's just such a stupid rule, isn't it? Why can't you be offside from a throw-in? What a stupid rule.
True or false? A yellow card can be given for persistent fouling.
True.
and a match can continue.
That is true, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, absolutely it can be. They don't have to be. They can just be tiny little fouls.
Why can people not be offside from a throw-in
or a corner? Can't be offside from corner.
Yeah, but I can kind of understand that. But from a throw-in, it's mental.
Or a goal kick. Can't be offside from goal kick.
It's mental.
A match can continue if one team has only 7 players.
False.
True.
It's
7
true.
players.
I thought it was 8. I thought 8 was the rule.
7 players is the minimum. Got 6 players. Nah, you're all over, mate. You're all over.
So if you've had 4 players sent off, and you're playing now with 7 players, you need to get someone else sent off, don't you?
Yeah, this is it. And it brought me to mind when I was looking at these. I'm sorry, that was a rubbish quiz. That was so bad.
And I still only managed to get flipping 1 out of 3.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you did. Yeah. That
is nonsense, isn't it? About we've got 7 players. Let's get another player sent off. What would you do? Just pick the ball up and run around, not give it to the ref, and then do it again and get sent off twice for handball? Well, you would, wouldn't you? I would. If I was cynical, and I am.
Restart is correct if a referee stops the play for an injury but no foul has been committed.
What restart?
Yeah, what's the restart? So I'm playing and I notice there's a player over there who's lying on the ground. Might be a head injury, might be looks serious. So I'm stopping the game.
Yeah.
And how do I restart the game?
I'd do it with a uncontested drop ball to the team who is in possession.
Spot on, Kenny. Well done.
Wow.
Well done.
Getting better at this, aren't I? 2
yeah,
out of 4.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to make it a bit harder next week. Sorry, that was a really poor effort from me. That's what comes from doing it.
It was a pretty poor effort from me, to be honest, as well. But there you go.
Yeah, no,
I didn't really need the pipe anyway.
No, you didn't need the pipe. Didn't need the pipe. So that's it. That's it for this week, people.
That's been an interesting one. I love the interview. He knows his stuff, that Bra.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. I have to try and convince him to come on a kind of fairly regular basis when there's anything interesting in the African bit of our news section or stuff going on. So,
on that subject, I am reaching out this very day to journalists from the USA, from Morocco, from. Shall I do one from Senegal? It would be good, wouldn't it, to get a Senegal guy on?
Yeah, why don't you get them on both together?
Oh, man. Wouldn't that be something? And Germany. Anyway, so leave that with us. Maybe by next week we'll have can you imagine having a Senegal-Moroccan kind of journo fight?
Yeah, I want to speak to. I want to have a look at some Asian teams. I mean, maybe do this next week because I spoke to the Asia correspondent for The Guardian, John Jordan, and that's an interesting chat.
So we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we'll do that next week, I think. And until then, people, thank you very much indeed for listening. Enjoy your week wherever you are in the world and whatever you are doing. From Ken and I, look after yourselves, look after each other, and goodbye.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.